Hey, Mike here. I've got the Polygon Siskiu T6E trail e-bike on test at the moment. It sells for $5,500 from BikesOnline, so it gets shipped to your door. This is probably one of the best value and best performance trail e-bikes I've tested recently, so let's take a closer look. So as a trail e-bike, the Polygon Siskiu T6E has 150mm of suspension travel up front, 140 in the back. So that's going to be a really good fit for just about anyone looking for a trail e-bike. It uses the Shimano EP6 system, which has an 85 Newton meter amount of torque on there and a 500 watt peak power. It's got a 504 watt hour battery to give you quite a large range, and a Shimano 11-speed Dior group set. In terms of braking, it's got large SRAM Code 4 brakes with 203mm rotors and metal pads as stock. I think Polygon have done a really good parts choice here, especially on the wheels, with a 35mm internal entity alloy double wall rim and Schwalbe Hans Dampf's Super Trail casing tyres on there too in 2.6. So it's a really robust wheel set with plenty of grip on offer. One of the great things with Shimano's eTube app and their latest array of hardware is you can change the profiles here. So you can have the 7 assistance levels or 3. So on this one you can see you get all the fine-tuned trail modes, so different levels of overall support as opposed to just one. And I've been using that a lot, and I've really enjoyed that I can get the ride that I want while also really keeping as much battery life as possible. SR Suntour suspension is about what you'll find on a lot of the mid-range e-bikes, and I think seeing the adjustability on hand here for a $5,500 e-bike, it's really a fantastic choice. So I've got a large Polygon Siskiu T6E on test. They come in 4 sizes from small through to extra large, and this has got some pretty modern handling on here too in terms of geometry. It does have a flip chip at the back end of the bike, so you can run it high or low. Comes low as standard, which gives you a 65-degree head angle, so it's quite stable, a 77-degree seat angle, which is nice and steep to keep you right over the pedals, and a 485mm reach. It does, if you change it to the higher position, it steepens it by almost a degree, so it gives you slightly more agile handling. So the motor and battery on the Polygon Siskiu T6E is the Shimano EP600. Shimano also have the EP801, which is their latest, which is what is on the Polygon Colossus N8E that Ryan Walsh reviewed recently. And there's a few key differences. So firstly, the EP600 is a bit heavier. It's not refined as much, so it's about a 3 kilo motor. It still has 85 Newton meters of torque, so plenty of torque for the steep, pinchy climbs and acceleration. And it has a 500 watt peak power compared to 600 watts, which is what the peak power on the 801 is. In terms of battery, this one comes with a 504 watt hour battery, which cuts the overall weight of the system, whereas the T7E, which is a higher spec model of this bike, comes with a 630 watt hour battery with the EP801 system. So I guess the big question is, how does the $5,500 Polygon Siskiu T6E ride on the trail? I mean, in short, I loved it. I was really impressed with how this bike rides, both up, down, along, whatever. I was kind of wondering, is it going to be a little bit heavy at just over 24 kilos? It kind of blended into the background, save for when I had to pick it up. And then I also thought, is a 504 watt hour battery going to be too low and not enough time for me to spend out on the trails? The reality is, I didn't notice the weight when I was riding, and also the 504 watt hour battery, I could still ride a mixture of trail and boost for a 2.5 hour hilly ride and still have some juice left when I got home. So both of those things blurred into the background. In general, I found it a really well balanced bike. I enjoyed that Polygon have spec'd 160mm cranks so you can keep them spinning even as you're climbing to keep the assistance level up. That's been a great feature, and to catch out on pedal strikes. And I really found that with the geometry balance, with a steeper seat angle and the length, it's a nice balance when you're pushing through corners to really find that traction point with both the front wheel and rear wheel, and finding traction to the back when climbing. I have found though, on my local trails, they're not that steep. They may have steep sections here or there, but as an average gradient, they're not taking the fall line down a descent, like some places in Australia. So I actually erred towards running the higher geometry setting. Polygon have put that in place, so if you put a 27.5 inch rear wheel in the back for a mullet setup, that it doesn't mean the bottom bracket's going to drop. But with the stock 29-inch configuration, by running it in the high setting, I increased the head angle to 65.9 degrees, and it also steepened the seat angle to 77.9 degrees, and even lengthened the reach by about 1 centimetre to 495, which is pretty long. But I found that to be bang on for how I was riding. I found it more agile, pushing from corner to corner. Also, it felt like the bike had a little bit more pop if there was a small gap to clear, because it wasn't as rearward biased, and in general, I much preferred how the bike rode this way. The SR Suntour suspension might not be products you're that familiar with, but it's exactly what you'll be looking at on an e-bike, probably up to about $7,000–8,000. What I really liked about the fork and the shock on this bike here was that it does have an air spring front and back. Everyone loves the idea of having a coil on their bike, but to adjust the spring rate on a coil, you need to get a new spring. Whereas with the air shocks, you can get your spring rate just right, with a shock pump. I did take a little bit to get it just right. I found early on it was a bit soft in the front end, and I had too light a rebound and had a bit of a top out from the fork. Same thing in the back. I was running a little bit soft, which was really nice on chattery bumps, but I was just kind of getting stuck down in the shock through the mid-stroke and really struggling there. So I ran it a little bit firmer, probably to partly offset the 24 kilo weight of the bike, and really enjoyed how the bike was riding through the end of the test period. I think what Polygon have done really well with the Siskiu T6E is navigating the balance between features that they get and keeping the price in check. So I look over this bike and it's got a full power e-bike system, leading brand name coming from Shimano. It's got fully adjustable suspension from Suntour. It's got a wide range 11-speed group set, big 4-pot brakes, proper rubber and a wide rims. And they might not all be, your kind of dream spec components, but they all work and they deliver the function that you want on the trail. And that's what stood out. There's nothing that I really had any complaints about. It all just delivered a really fun ride for exactly what you'd want from a trail e-bike. So my take on the Polygon Siskiu T6E is that it is a fantastic bike to be looking at for both a value and performance minded rider. At $5,500, I don't think there's really much you can compare it to on the market. For anyone who's looking for something a little bit nicer in terms of moving to a 12-speed group set, or maybe some higher end suspension, or even a larger battery or higher peak power, Polygon have you covered with the T7E. So it is the same frame and same handling, but you get the Shimano EP6 motor with the 630 watt-hour battery, 12-speed Shimano SLX group set, and some slightly higher end SR Suntour suspension. And that one sells for about $6,500. And if you're wanting those higher end builds, it would be a fantastic bike to look at. If you are interested in finding out more, you can see my full review over on our website. Also, you can take a closer look at the bikes at bikesonline.com.au and have a close look at their 14-day money-back offer. If you get the bike, unbox it, and you realize it's not for you, they'll organize to come and collect it for you, and you can get your money back or change it for something that you do want. And that can go a long way compared to being able to take one out and test ride it yourself. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to make sure you get all our latest reviews. Thanks for watching.